Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids. Independent. Existentialism. Modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. Hey, welcome into another edition of the Gen Existentialists. My name is Scott.
I'm Bunny.
And we're with you for the next little bit talking about a whole lot of different things from a Gen X perspective. Not only Gen X. I mean, we dive around a lot, but that's where we're coming from for the most part. And we spin Mega Wheel the Magnificent, as I am doing right now, a plethora of topics. And once the wheel quits spinning, we'll have something for you, and Bunny will be first up to give his thoughts on this topic. He looks prepared, he looks warmed up. Are you ready to go in fighting shape?
I'm loose.
Loose and ready. Okay, ready?
Yes.
What's the stupidest movie or TV show you've ever seen?
Wow. What's the stupidest movie or TV show I've ever seen? I've seen a lot of what the normies out there would say is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of stupid.
Yeah, it
first.
really depends on where you're coming from. Oh boy, the stupidest movie I've ever seen. The first one that comes to mind is a movie called The Dark Beyond.
I'm unfamiliar.
I'm
unfamiliar with most of the stuff that you've seen.
Well, let's go ahead and let's move it forward into something that is more relatable. I won't go so obscure.
Okay.
Dumbest thing. Wow. I've seen the Coneheads movie. I thought that was really bad.
I would
stupid.
agree. I had never seen it,
mm-hmm.
and Tracy, my wife, was just aghast that I had never seen Coneheads.
Oh, sorry.
And so we got a used copy on DVD at like Half Price Books and bought it.
How could somebody let that go?
Paid money for it.
How could somebody let that treasure go? Yeah.
And there were a couple laughs, but it was one of those movies where you get to the end and you're just like, I just wasted an hour and a half watching that. Really?
Yeah. It's there are a lot of 90s sitcoms that would fall into the stupid category.
Oh yeah. Stupid doesn't necessarily mean not entertaining.
True. I think I couldn't even name an Adam Sandler movie. To be honest, they all sort of blend together, the few that I've been forced to see on various transport and trains and planes and places where you can't turn away. Those rank in there. The Ernest movies. Ernest goes to camp. Ernest goes to prison.
Wait a minute.
Haunted Ernest or whatever. Yeah, those are pretty dumb.
There's nothing wrong with Ernest. Now, come on.
Now, the thing is, Jim Varney himself, rest in peace, sir. You were an amazing entertainer.
Yeah.
Much more of a wide and deep person than what you see in the Ernest world. He was a Shakespearean actor.
Yep.
He was could do all sorts of characters. He was absolute physical comedian.
Yep.
And very, very good as the Ernest character. I'm getting them mixed up. But the movies are an exercise in something going a little too long. There was also a movie that was by Tim Conway back in the 70s. It was a television movie.
The Apple Dumpling Gang?
No, this was something like Roll On Charlie. This is not the name of it. Look this up, Internet, and get back with us at Gen Existentialists at proton.me and let me know what the name of this was. But it's about imagine Tim Conway playing a put-upon single dad. Not hard to imagine.
Yeah, perfect.
And he decides the only way to win his child's love back is to break a Guinness Book of World Records for wearing roller skates for the longest amount of time. So it is literally a 75-minute movie. I watched this the other night. I don't know why the hell I did this to myself, where Tim Conway is flubbing around on roller skates in the 70s, driving a car in roller skates, going to work and getting yelled at in roller skates, falling down things but he can never take them off as the thing. So he sleeps in his roller skates, and he does this for like a week straight, and this is how he breaks the world record.
But see, that's beautiful. That's the kind of thing that we were talking about last episode about, like, nobody makes throwaway entertaining movies anymore. And that sounds like it fits the bill perfectly.
That is definitely the styrofoam cup of cinema right there.
But I think one thing that we kind of latched onto a little bit is like SNL-based movies.
Oh, yeah.
We're not fans.
What a minefield.
But if you take anybody from like the Carol Burnett show, Tim Conway, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, anybody in that group, I'm going to watch, I'm going to laugh, I'm going to be a happy Scot.
That's funny. My father was very much the same way. My father was a big Don Knotts fan, a big Tim Conway fan, a big Harvey Feldman, or was that
Harvey
his name?
Korman.
Harvey Korman. I'm getting all my mans screwed up. So he was a big fan of that and the Gallagher and all that style comedy.
Yeah.
That never did much for me. I don't know. I tried getting into. Here's the thing.
You have to let go of any semblance of intellectualism and just dive into the comedy.
And you think I would be a pro at that by now. I live that lifestyle most days.
Do you ever go back and like watch old Carol Burnett shows?
No.
You should.
No.
Because there's a lot of great, just like slapstick humor. There are a lot of duds too.
Yeah.
But like every show will have 2 or 3 moments where you can't help but just howl in laughter.
I'll tell you, I went on this crusade. I'm spiraling out a little too much, and I'm not going to try to hog the spotlight here too much longer. But I went on this crusade because I rewatched the Andy Griffith Show, and
like the entire series.
The entire series.
Oh my God!
Which was great, by the way, until it got toward the end, and then everybody got angry, and Barney left, and everything went to hell. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so maybe I should give Don Knotts a try in the movie sphere. So I started to procure all of these Don Knotts movies, from The Reluctant Astronaut to all sorts of other, Mr. Limpet and all of your crap, all the way to the obscure movies like The Prize Fighter with Don Knotts and Tim Conway. Apple Dumpling Gang, of course. They were all just intolerable. I mean, it was so hard to sit through. And I sat through every single one of them waiting for this switch to flip in my head where I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. A little Don Knotts, a little Tim Conway, they go a long way. There's only so much Dorf a man can endure. Now that's an 80s reference for you.
Dorf 24/7.
Oh my God! So I'm gonna pass this back to you because I'm just gonna dig myself.
You would be
hole.
more of a Don Knotts fan in like the peripheral, like supporting actor role on Three's Company.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm completely confused. I did a deep dive into Don Knotts just in the process of all this. I had no idea he was such a ladies' man. He had ladies like hanging all over him whenever he went out and stuff. But this isn't
just look at the guy. He was.
This isn't the Three's Company's days. Yeah. This isn't, the young Don Knotts. This is Three's Company, 70s, 80s Don Knotts.
He was a star, man.
He must have been hung like a farm animal. I don't know, or something.
Well,
plus, he can make the ladies laugh. So, I mean, he was...
And isn't that the key?
It worked for me, so...
So
Not the farm animal part, but the laughing part.
Whatever works. I've forgotten the question. It was some
What's the
stupidest movie or TV show
you've ever seen?
I'm going to go with a TV show, and it's Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, that's up there. There's a charm about that, but it wears itself out quickly.
There's charm about it, but it's one of those things where I'm big on suspension of disbelief. I understand the concept. I can let go of scientific theories. I can let go of my entire epistemological and ontological groundings. I can ditch all that stuff. But for some reason, Gilligan's Island, like, even as a kid watching it, it was just like, if they can build a car out of bamboo and trees, they've got. Why didn't they build a boat?
Well, you did.
Why? What? Why?
You did see the movie where they did come back, didn't
No.
you? There is a movie where they return from Gilligan's Island, and they actually all come back and live their life happy, and then they realize they're not happy because they're not on the island.
Don't tell me they
anymore.
went back to the island.
I won't spoil it for you.
Did they go back to the island?
Can't say.
I'm not going to watch it.
Everybody go out and rent. Return to
literally,
Gilligan's
Bunny.
Island.
Nobody is going to watch this. You are probably the one person still alive today that has watched it.
No,
What happened?
it's a good film. Let me just put it that way. It's not a good film.
Did they go back? That's the thing that I have to know, because if they went back, then it just justifies everything I'm saying about why that was the stupidest TV show ever.
It's a very recursive film.
That's horrifying. I've lost, well, I mean, it was decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
It just reiterates having lost faith in humanity.
I'll tell you, there was something about that production. There's a Sherwin Allen. Were they the ones that did Gilligan's Island, the producer? They did this whole, it was like Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island. They didn't do the monkeys, but it was very similar color palette. It was this weird 60s, 70s, uber bright colors.
Well, you
super
think about
saturated.
Like sitcoms and stuff, you can date them based on the theme music, the way they look, how the intro comes in, the laugh track.
Sure.
You can follow a line from, like, I don't know, I don't want to bring up Carol Burnett's show again, but like from there all the way through like Barney Miller's Sanford and Son, Good Times, MASH, all through the 80s.
The 70s
sitcoms.
things got very dirty. They got very gritty, like dirty in the filthy, like perverted sense, but dirty in the grimy, portrayal of inner city apartments and work, and it just got really depressing
and
there
it got
for a while.
glossed up a lot in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And got very suburban in the 90s.
Yeah, even in the 80s. I mean, you had your Charles in Charges, and you had your...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Married with Children was started in the 80s even. So that was, you're thinking of all these...
But
Small Wonder, do you remember that terrible show?
Yes, I do.
Boy, that was a terrible show.
Awful. Would it qualify as one of the stupidest, though?
Yeah, that definitely.
I would tend to agree.
That and it's going to get hit for this. Alf, I think, is just super dumb. You don't talk about a suspension of disbelief. And I'm a guy who does puppetry on the side. And I'm like, wow. Okay, so this made it, but, my sick films about puppets are not going to make it.
The thing I don't like about Alf is that Alf, wants to eat cats and stuff.
That's a euphemism. Kids don't get that.
Aside from that, I love the juxtaposition of puppet, humans, nobody mentioning that it doesn't even look remotely
I would
plausible.
totally get behind that. Here's an aside going with the Alf. There was this sort of weird production level. There were your A-tier comedies, your B-tier comedies, and your C-tier sitcoms in the 80s. And I think that ranks somewhere between the B and the C tier because it's filmed badly. It's like on a weird video stock, a weird camera style. The supporting actors were ludicrously bad. They're like Mr. Belvedere.
Awful.
Yeah, they're Mr. Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere.
Slash
Holy crap.
Small Wonder slash it was all that. It's like you had a concept that could have worked.
Yeah.
And you might have one actor or actress that tries to carry the whole thing, like a give me a break.
Give me a break.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's like a
Nell
C
Carter.
tier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you have one person that's trying to carry the entire thing.
Yep.
I mean, Alf was carrying that entire sitcom because the other actors were just abysmal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're forgettable at best and abysmal at worst. So,
well, it was basically...
Sorry to have such strong opinions about 80s sitcoms.
It was basically one set, too.
Oh, yeah.
It was always like the living room.
Yeah,
of the
they're very
house.
bottle.
Yeah.
Bottle episodes or bottle series.
Where you didn't even really need a camera person. You just like turned the camera on, everybody filmed, and then an editor put it together.
That was very 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the few that really like Facts of Life started out like that, and then they kind of broke the mold and went out a little bit more, which was wonderful. But you think of like a Three's Company, there were very few episodes where they weren't in their apartment.
Right.
Charles in Charge was all in the apartment, I think. Shows like that. Even Married with Children, if it wasn't for going to Al's shoe shop, they were in the living room. Yeah. So.
Yeah, like you knew there was an upstairs where the bedrooms were, but
you never saw it.
Right. And I'll contrast this. You mentioned A, B, and C tier. Mm-hmm. One of the A tiers for me would be Night Court.
Oh, yeah. And Night Court was
great. It was cleverly written, a lot of star power, multiple sets.
Well, about at least 3 sets.
Yeah. Well, you had the break room downstairs. You had Harry's office. You had the courtroom.
That was
it.
That was where it all took place. So.
Yeah. But it was well filmed too. It doesn't hold up now. If you go back and rewatch episodes, you can date, like we were saying, you can date when they were shot.
Yeah.
But the material holds up.
Okay.
And I think that's a bigger thing. If you go back to some of the others like Alf and things like that, or Give Me a Break.
Yeah,
the topics, the shows and the jokes don't hold up. They're very
You should try Different
time.
Strokes.
I have,
a show that doesn't
and
hold up.
It's pretty bad too. But you take something like Night Court, which was for me like top tier.
Yeah,
probably
I would
for
agree.
Me top 2 or 3 sitcoms
must-see TV
ever. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you had the high-quality stuff. There was this weird high-quality filming of certain shows, like Cheers.
Yeah,
was very, very well shot.
But even that, Cheers,
it all takes place in the bar. 90%
it all takes
of
place
it.
in the bar. You would have different camera shots, different angles. And I don't know if that qualifies as like different sets. It's the same set, but and that's the thing about Alf. Usually, like the camera didn't move.
No, that was you could tell that Cheers was a very large set. If it was a set, if it wasn't an actual bar, I don't know much about that show, but you get your C tiers like your Alfs and your Small Wonders and your Punky Brewsters and all that stuff. And they're all just done on a sound stage where you can get 2 or 3 cameras right in front, so everything looks super flat.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of room to back off. And
everybody has to go upstairs or out the front door or out the back door,
right?
Just to get off the set. So,
well, we've beaten that into the ground.
Yeah,
we've got enough time to do a quick shot. Should we do a quick shot?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do a spin on Mega Wheel the Magnificent.
Cleanse everyone's palates. Bad sitcoms and lousy movies.
Sitcoms though, they're a staple, and I feel like they've kind of gone away a lot with the way television is nowadays and streaming and stuff. But okay, this is great for a quick shot. Not just talking about business wise, personal too. Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say and why?
Never.
Never.
No.
Every phone call is completely extemporaneous, just off the cuff.
Unless I'm calling for service.
Yeah.
To have someone come out and take care of an electrical issue or something. I'll have that written down, like what the problem is and where it's at.
Sure.
But otherwise, I just like to shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
Because I want you to realize you're talking to a real person. It sounds creepy and robotic and like you don't want to talk on the phone if you rehearse everything, in my opinion.
See, I don't rehearse, but I at least go through in my head what I want to talk about. Most of the time when I talk on the phone anymore, it's not to like friends like you. We usually text or message or we actually see each other. It was 40 years ago that we were on the phone talking to each other. And I didn't practice that. But like, especially from a business perspective, like if I have to call somebody in one of our different buildings about something, I do a quick run through in my head about what I would need to make sure I ask them about and things like that. And part of that comes from one of my previous job as a compliance officer for OSHA. If I was going to call like an injured employee and do my interview with them over the phone, if I couldn't meet with them in person, I would absolutely practice what I needed to tell them,
Sure.
let them know that I had to record the conversation.
Well, that's a
things like
professional
that.
courtesy, like practicing when you're being
And
cognizant of the person's time, And
and I kind of had to, because that way I wouldn't forget.
But when is the last time you've actually been on the phone to just talk to somebody, like a friend or a relative?
Usually it would just be my mom, mom and dad. It's very seldom that like we talk on the phone, or our mutual friend Tim. Tracy and I will call each other if we just need to relay some information, and obviously you don't practice that. But I think because phones are so ubiquitous and everybody's got a phone, it's weird to me that we don't talk as much as we used to.
It's true.
We've found other less direct methods like texting and messaging and stuff to communicate.
I tune into Zoom when I want to talk to someone. I'm always on Zoom. It seems like if they're an out-of-town friend, or a work associate or something, I'm always Zooming.
Well, and is it because of the like visual aspect?
Yeah, I want to see the person. It gives me a little more. Meat on the bone when I can actually see the person, see their expressions and all.
Yeah, when you can see if they're actually laughing or if they're kind of doing a laugh track kind of thing too.
Exactly.
I absolutely agree with that. And it's fun to look at it. Like, obviously, when we were kids, we didn't have cell phones.
We'd talk on the phone for hours. It was crazy.
On a landline.
Do you remember when we would call each other up sometimes and watch Price is Right? At the same time, so we could sit and talk about Diane's boobs.
Yeah, we would literally, during summers for a couple years, we would talk on the phone like from about 10:30 to about 12:30 or so every day, watch The Price is Right together, comment on the commercials together, and that was just the norm.
Yeah.
It was just something that you did.
So real quick, Diane, Holly, or Janice?
Holly.
Holly,
time.
Same with me.
Yeah, I mean, and nothing against the other two.
No.
Always going to be Holly every time.
Yeah.
That'll do it for another edition of the Gen Existentialists. My name is Scott.
I'm Bunny.
We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.